Okay, first and third BC. Okay, good. Thank you. So I have two extreme ends, first and third BC, or first century and third century BC is what you wanted to mean. 100 to 300 BC,
Yes.
or
Yes, sir.
1700 to 1800 BC. Interestingly, this is a 12th century text. 1178 actual data பார்க்க போனோம். Even before Galileo was born, even before, I think, Tycho Brahe's time. எதுக்கு சொல்ல வந்தேன்னா, நம்ம கலாச்சாரத்துல, பாரதிய கலாச்சாரத்துல, இது ஸ்பெசிபிக்கா அதுவும் தமிழ் பண்பாடுல, this concept of always thinking and accepting knowledge has been in the tradition for a long time. We have famous squirrels also, right? கண்டிருப்பவர் என்பவர் கற்றோர் முகத்திரண்டு புண்ணிருப்பவர் கல்லாதவர். So when such kind of extreme dedication is there for education, don't you think that is equivalent to scientific temper? Anyway, I'll leave you at that because I am running short of time. So at this point of time, to say that we did not have any scientific thinking in the past, because of which we were only doing composing poetry and creative activities like sirpangalagatum, illa kovilgalagatum, illa kavidaigalagatum, வெண்பாக்களாகட்டும், அதுல மட்டும் இல்லாம இப்ப சித்த வைத்திய நூல்கள் எடுத்தோம்னா அதுவும் very good poetic meters are used in that. But is that not a genuine scientific text? So we must actively think, என்ன நம்ம 1000 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடி நம்ம இருந்த முன்னோர்கள்லாம் எப்படி அவங்களுடைய வாழ்க்கையை நடத்தினாங்க, ஒரு விஞ்ஞான பூர்வமாக ஒரு செயல்பாடோ இல்ல தாட் ப்ராசஸோ இல்லாம எப்படி அவங்களால சமுதாயத்தை முன்னாடி கொண்டு செல்லறதுக்கான ஒரு திறமை இருந்தது. இத பத்தி நம்ம ஆழமா யோசிக்கலனாக்கா we cannot relate to the subject called Indian knowledge system, and we cannot be inspiring to our students. So from that point of view, I gave that introduction where our past now can be looked upon broadly from three different points of view, namely historical, text-based, or concept-based. So, for instance, why should we even look at all these things? Again, a very good example from Tamil, and that to Kallanai, and what something close to the hearts of all the Tamil Nadu people, especially Trichy people. So look at the far-sightedness of people when this Kallanai dam was built. அப்போ இருந்த காலகட்டத்துல, அப்போ இருந்த ஜன பாப்புலேஷன் பேசிஸ்க்கு கண்டிப்பா தண்ணி பிரச்சனைங்கிறது இருந்திருக்கிறதுக்கான வாய்ப்பு இல்லை. அப்படியே இருந்திருந்தாலும் இன்னைக்கு நம்ம பார்க்கிற தண்ணி பிரச்சனை அந்த 2000 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடி கண்டிப்பா இருந்திருக்காது. அப்படி இருந்தாலும் அவங்களால ஒரு 500 வருஷத்துக்கு அப்புறம், ஒரு 1000 வருஷத்துக்கு அப்புறம் வரக்கூடிய ஒரு பிரச்சனையை முன்கூட்டியே சிந்திச்சு அதுக்கான நிவாரணத்தையும் அவங்க செஞ்சுட்டு போயிருக்காங்கன்னா இது விஞ்ஞான பூர்வமான ஒரு செயலா இல்லையாங்கிறது ஒரு பெரிய கேள்வி. இன்னைக்கு இவ்வளவு ஒரு கருவி இருந்துட்டாலும், இவ்வளவு ஒரு டெக்னாலஜிக்கல் அட்வான்ஸ்மெண்ட் இருந்தாலும், this is a very open challenge to all of you, including my colleagues here in my institute, with whom if I get to interact. Today, with all those sophisticated things, are we in a position to predict what kind of problem will our future generations face, say 500 years down the line, or 1000 years down the line? Are we in a position to even think of at least one problem that our future generation is going to face, leave alone solution for it? So from this point of view, the utilitarian point of view also, it is equally important to know how our ancestors thought, how our ancestors established technology through their own scientific methods. Okay, so the fact that somebody built this dam and that is being praised about in the Sangam work, it is not a matter of fiction. Luckily for us, we have still the Kallanai dam in front of us to stay as a proof, as a witness, and we have textual evidences for it. But there are so many other things in our society for which we do not have exact evidences to back it up with. But what this entire IKS movement is all about is to make us think in a very objective way. I mean, பழசுல இருந்தது எல்லாமே நம்ம வந்து மரபுல எல்லாமே வந்திருக்கிறது நல்லதுங்கிறது சொல்றதுக்கான வாய்ப்பும் நான் இங்க சொல்ல வரல. அட்லீஸ்ட் என்ன இருந்தது அதை பத்தியான ஒரு சிந்தனைக்கான ஒரு வாய்ப்பாக கொடுக்கணுமா வேண்டாமா? சோ அதை ஒரு ஏற்படுத்துறதுக்கான ஒரு முயற்சி தான் இந்த மாதிரியான ஃபேக்கல்டி டெவலப்மெண்ட் ப்ரோக்ராம். அண்ட் உதாரணத்துக்கு நான் ஸ்டூடெண்ட் ஆஃப் கெமிஸ்ட்ரி, பிஹெச்டியும் முடிச்சு இப்போ என்னை இன்ட்ரோடியூஸ் பண்ற போது அப்புறம் மேடமோ இல்லை யாரோ சொன்ன மாதிரி இவ்வளவு எல்லாம் போஸ்ட் டாக் பண்ணியும் ஐஐடியில ப்ரொஃபஸர் ஆன பிறகுதான் எனக்கு இந்த ஒரு விஷயமே தெரிய வந்ததே ஒழிய, இதுக்கு முன்னாடி தெரிஞ்சிருந்தா நான் வந்து பெருசா ஒரு எதையோ பெருசா சாதிச்சிருக்க மாட்டேன். பட் அட்லீஸ்ட் ஒரு வாவ் ஃபேக்டர் இட் would have got contributed. என்ன அது? There are Indian words from the Indian language that have gone into chemistry, English vocabulary, that we are still using. For instance, குருவிந்த என்கிற ஒரு வடமொழியிலேருந்து தான் கொரண்டம் என்கிற ஒரு மினரலுக்கான பெயர். அதே மாதிரி ஷுல்வாரி, இது வடமொழி, இதுல இருந்து தான் சல்ஃபருங்கிற வார்த்தை போயிருக்கு. இது இல்ல, இந்த வார்த்தையெல்லாம் இன்னமும் நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம். அதே மாதிரி வேலூரி என்கிற ஒரு வடமொழி சொல்ல இருந்து தான் பிரைல் அண்ட் பெரிலியம் வந்திருக்கு. இந்த வேலூரிங்கிற வார்த்தை கூட ஒரு வியப்பூட்டு ஊட்டுற ஒரு விஷயம்தான். ஏன்னா தொன்று தொட்ட காலத்துல இருந்து பெரிலியம் அண்ட் பிரைலுடைய டெபாசிட்ஸ் எங்க மேக்சிமம் பார்த்தா சேலம் பெல்ட், அந்த பெல்ட்ல தான் இந்த பெரிலியம் உடைய மேக்சிமம் டெபாசிட்ஸ் இருக்கு. இந்தியில இருந்து ஒரு 2000 வருஷம் முன்னாடி நேற்றுக்கு அம்பா குல்கர்னி மேடம் பேசியிருக்காங்க. ஷி இஸ் an expert in Panini. I am sure she must have made use of this word Panini couple of times in her lecture. When Panini was sitting and writing the grammar, there are many school of thought that based on his Paninian grammar or the Paninian grammar influenced the Tolkapiam, or the Tolkapiam influenced Paninian grammar, that we do not know. But definitely Panini makes
sir, excuse me.
Hello
sir, some of the participants are from other states, sir. They are not able to understand Tamil.
Okay, sorry, I'll stick to the English.
Okay, sorry sir. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for telling me. I'm really sorry for having taken for granted. I thought it was an opportunity for me to speak at least in Tamil staying here. Anyway, I will correct myself. I'll get into this English mode.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
So these words like corundum, sulfur, beryl, beryllium, which we very generally use in chemistry today, are actually Indian words, Sanskrit words, based to be very precise. And on Veluri, yesterday Professor Amba Kulkarni, I'm sure, would have made reference to the greatest grammarian that India has ever produced, that is Panini. In fact, very interestingly, Panini's place is again very debatable, but large consensus is that he was sitting somewhere in Afghanistan. Mind you, this is an India which was undivided several years back, at least during the time of Panini. So he's sitting in Afghanistan, and imagine he knows the fact that the beryl and beryllium has got maximum deposits in Salem. So for him, Salem is in fact a very far off place. So he coins it as Vidura, Vishesha Dura. Vidura, Dura means very far. And that too, Vishesha Dura means actually it is very, very far. So since beryllium was being supplied from a very far place from where Panini was sitting, he termed it as Vidura. And that Vidura actually becomes Veluri. In fact, it's a Tamil word, Veluri. And that Veluri becomes Vidura in Sanskrit. And that etymology is because it is coming from a very far place. And that gets incorporated in English as beryl and beryllium. Okay. So if a student in, say, class 6 or class 7 or class 8, if they are told that you have Indian words that are used in chemistry today, that will definitely add to the wow factor, because we have lots of Greek and Latin words in science today. Why? Because we would like to say, or the people say that science wants to maintain the connection with its origin. So they feel Greek and Latin has been the origin of science. That's why it wants to maintain. But then here we have one evidence that, okay, there was science even in Indian soil because of which these words are also retained. Anyway, talking of metals, yes, this is from the Yajurveda, Krishna Yajurveda, the first ever documented corpus of literature, orally transmitted, where we have 6 explicit mention of metals: Hiranya, Aya, Sisa, Trapu, Shama, Loha, which are normally translated as gold, silver, lead, tin, copper, and iron. So all of us who may be remembering the history, we know that we have had Paleolithic age, Mesolithic age, Neolithic age. Then we have, this is called Stone Age. Then in Metal Age it starts from copper. Then copper ends with bronze with iron. So we have Stone Age, Metal Age, and today I do not know whether the anthropologists call it a silicon age or a garbage. That is left to our personal interpretation. But here we find one explicit mention of all the 6 metals at one point of time. And needless to say, even in Tamil literature, be it as old as Tirukkural, again there is a lot of debate as to when was Tirukkural composed. Till date, there is not much of a consensus on that. There are references to even the hardness and sharpness of metals. One example is this Quran, where it compares the harsh words and punishment to that of the files, especially when the ruler is giving these harsh words or punishments. Similarly, in other uh, literature, also we see mentions of gold. Like in this case, Ain Kurunuru, we find 2 references. Then Purananuru, there are a couple of references where the word normally today, even today, we use for the word for gold in Tamil as pon. Besides, Igai is also another term which is used for gold in old Tamil literature. Today, Igai is normally not used. Seizhai, Semmayana Ilai, that can be interpreted as Seizhai. Again, that is very bright. So that's also one of the words for gold. Uh, these are broadly the words that are used for gold in the Tamil literature: Adagam, Sembon, Kilichirai, and Navalam. Okay, among them, actually Sembon is still used, but other words like Adagam, Kilichirai, Navalam are out of fashion today. But very interestingly, if you look at this text, where I would like you to pay attention to the third word, Hatakam. Those of you who can read the Devanagari script, this is, I'll use a cursor here. This is Hatakam. So one more word for which I want you to pay your attention is this Jambu Nadam. Okay, Jambu. And this is the one more word. I think I am missing it from here, but there are 2 words. Again, if you see the words Jambu Nadam is similar to Navalam. Okay. And that Hatakam, what you saw in the next Sanskrit text, is this Adakam. So which one is before, which one is later, that's not my point of debate at all. But I'm just trying to show the commonality here. Again, I would pause here and I would like you to guess which is the Sanskrit text I'm talking about here. Although by mistake I revealed the answer also, but those of you who did not have a look at it, I would like you to take a guess and answer my question, which text I am referring to. I would like some of you to guess it. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Just make a rough guess. There is nobody going to give you any marks or anything for this.
Sir, you're asking about the Sanskrit text that is being
Yeah, the
projected.
English is just the translation of that Sanskrit text.
Some texts in the Rasayana Shastra.
Very good. That's a very good guess. It is some text for Rasayana Shastra. One more guess, please.
Rasarnava or
Arthashastra.
In fact, the answer is Arthashastra.
Arthashastra.
It is not from Rasarnava or Rasashastra text. This is one of the earliest texts, and the entire second chapter is about metals. Why? Because the author was interested in writing about all the resources in the kingdom. And what other resources can you think of other than gold and silver and iron and copper, which are from the mines? Okay. So this is the ones for that. I'll skip this part. I will not talk about it. Going forward to a different metal, this is prominent places taken from this work of Panchanan Niyogi, which was published almost 110 years back, where archaeologists have excavated iron artifacts from these places of India. The place in Tamil Nadu is as south deep as Tirunelveli, and north again, this is where the place near Delhi. Then this is your Dwarka, and on the east side it is the Odissan coast. So the beauty is, from wherever you see these iron artifacts, the quality with which they have been made are more or less uniform, which only means that the metallurgical knowledge or the information that our ancients had, no matter whether they were in Tirunelveli or were in Somnath, Dwaraka, or in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, etc., was more or less similar. That means there was a pan-Indic knowledge. Okay, so this is what I wanted to drive your attention here. And this is a very famous picture that most of you may be able to recognize. But this was not originally in Qutub Minar. Delhi was pillar, brought to Qutub Minar pillar complex, or this was brought to the current location, where it was brought to the current location by Iltutmish. Because his father-in-law, in fact, Kutubuddin Aybak, who had invaded the northwest frontier and came all the way to Madhya Pradesh, there was a big Venkateshwara temple called Vishnupadagiri in northern part of Madhya Pradesh, what is today called as Bundelkhand. There was this Dvajastambha, or some kind of a pillar erected and as part of that temple. Now this person, Iltutmish, he succeeded Kutubuddin Aybak, and he brought this pillar all the way from the Bundelkhand area to the Mehrauli in Delhi and built a memory, built in the memory of his father-in-law Kutubuddin Aybak, what we today call as Qutub Minar. So today it is just standing next to Qutub Minar, but this was not originally there, and this is a very famous iron pillar which has not rusted till now. Mind you, people have dated it to be 1600 years old, but it has still not, it has resisted rusting. That's a real big wonder, because today when somebody is constructing a flat, we see that the reinforcing iron beams are getting rusted even before the construction is over. So compare the kind of metallurgical acumen that the